The purpose of this design is to provide a user interface for customers to perform self-checkouts inside a fictional bookstore. The scope of the user interface shown here is what will be used by the customers in the system, and not the UI for the staff. The cashier's version of this UI would include the ability to accept payments with cash as well. The tasks covered in this video is to operate over all the forms that purchasing books can take, and to showcase most of the dialogues. The purchasing of a single book, multiple books, books that are available in store, in the warehouse, or not available. This shows how books are inputted into the purchasing list, how they are removed, and how the quantity is adjusted. This showcases how a purchase is made, how a copy is printed off, and how to cancel the main operation. When the customer has selected to ship to an address, we showcase how the shipping information is obtained. Walkthroughs are performed by adding, removing, and adjusting books randomly. Since this is a prototype for the UI, no real information is kept or used. Printing, canceling, purchasing, and selecting options so as to test each possible path the customer can take is how the walkthroughs are performed. Even though it is rather random in this video, it showcases each of the walkthroughs presented in the first assignment, since most of the walkthroughs described there perform the same tasks. The low-fidelity prototypes were developed right from the images made in the first assignment by designing them inside the program Qt Designer. Inside Qt Designer, we can view how the final product will look, and we can test the visual functionality without having to build the application. This was used to test the look of errors, error highlighting, and dialogue effects before finally implementing the program. I used Qt Designer to design the forms, which are saved as XML files, using the program UIC, which is called when I run QMake and Make. To build the project, the XML forms are compiled into header files that I can then reference inside the program. In the main.cpp file, I include these compiled headers to attach these forms to a widget. From there, I built the logic and UI controls within the main file. I also used a couple of other programs to develop the faux logos. This UI is developed using C++ to design the logic, QMake and Make, which call G++ to build and compile the program under Linux, UIC within the Make file to compile the XML forms into file headers, and Qt to create the user interface we see on the screen. I used a black and white design for the most part to both match an aesthetic of a book, pen and paper, as well as to provide high contrast for better readability, particularly in a bright environment which would be common in a store. I used dialogues to control how information was collected and keep the flow moving in a way that would eliminate or reduce errors. The few errors that could occur are marked clearly using red text and highlighting along with descriptions of what went wrong. Clicking on the splash screen brings us to the main window. Here I enter one of the books into the purchasing list. Clicking cancel brings us back to the splash screen, clearing out our previous data. Entering in the book again allows us to print or purchase our book. Here I print a copy. Here the printing dialog just shows for a short period of time. Here I showcase paying with debit, which is the same as credit in this prototype. A processing payment dialog shows up, simulating that a PIN is being put in and data is being transferred between the system and the bank. After this is completed, a payment succeeded screen is shown. This could easily have failed and that a different dialog would have been shown. After which, the printing dialog is shown again to print off a copy for the customer. In this case, since the books being purchased are in the warehouse, a little information about how to obtain them is provided afterwards. Here, a couple of books are added to the purchasing list, the quantities of which are adjusted, and one of the entries is removed. Here, we showcase purchasing a book that's currently not available in the store. First, we showcase shipping to the store. Then we see how a customer would ship to an address instead, showcasing what both correct input and incorrect input looks like. And here we see the error message when an incorrect ISBN number is inputted.